Liverpool Football Club have won a game of football, and I've almost forgotten how that felt. And yes, before anyone says it, I know it's just the FA Cup, and if we had lost the game, I definitely would have said it's only the FA Cup. Who cares if we're out? However, because of our league form being so bad, our Champions League draw against Real Madrid on the horizon, I really think the FA Cup is the best chance of winning a silverware this season. And why not go for it? And why not try and win it again? We are the current holders. I mean, if we lose, the narrative is, oh, the current FA Cup holders, Liverpool, have been knocked out by so and so. And I definitely think, why not go on a run? Because really, I could do with a bit of positivity. Like I said, we haven't won in a while. And the fact that there were so many positives to take from the game, I'm definitely going to be trying to look on the positive side of it. And I don't think there were too many negatives on the whole. I think going into the game, I thought Klopp making the changes, I think, was the right thing to do, especially since in the first leg we went very strong, and I was actually surprised by that, about how strong. I mean, just to show, I think Kelleher is a perfectly fine backup goalkeeper. He's actually probably one of the best second choice goalkeepers in the Premier League. But the fact that he chose to go with Alisson, it showed how strong Klopp wanted to go in the first leg. And obviously it didn't work out. We drew 2-2 and we had to come back to Molineux. And it was completely correct to make all those changes. I think bringing Trent out the firing line, bringing Robbo back out of the team, bringing Simicast in. I think resting one of Matip Bukonate, which they did, was correct. I think changing at the midfield, changing the front line, making those 8 changes, I think were definitely needed. And you can see that from the energy of the team, the exuberance from the young players, and those who are more on the fringe as well. I mean, likes of Harvey Elliott, what a game, what a goal. I mean, the entire time he's running through on goal, I'm thinking the entire time, like, Milner's out wide, just lay him in, you can put a cross into the box. And then he has a look, I think. Well, I think he does. I'm not even sure if he does, but I think he notices he's there, looks up at the keeper, and then he goes, nah, I'm taking this. Because Jose Sa is like 6 yards off his line, and he's scrambling to try and get back. He doesn't even get a proper leap because he's not even ready in time, and he's not set, and he catches him out. And I think it was a fantastic finish by Elliott. I mean, like, you probably see it on the thumbnail. I'm going to have Elliott on my thumbnail, and I just think he's such a great young player. He's got such a high ceiling and prospect, and it's a shame actually that the fact that he's played so much, not for his development, because I think it actually helps his development, but the fact that he's been over relied on, and the thing there's been so much pressure on him, and then as soon as he doesn't perform, I think critics are on him saying, what does he do? Is he a midfielder? Is he a wide player? What is he? I think that's a bit unfair considering his age. He had that injury against Leeds last season, which kept him out for a lot of it. He's starting ahead of Jordan Henderson, let's not forget, in the season where we almost did the quadruple. So I think it was a fantastic performance by Elliott. Second half, he was definitely defending more, as was the whole team. But I thought man of the match performance. I think BBC gave it to him, and I think he rightly deserved it. I think Carvalho on the left wing really, really surprised me because of how well he did. I know he has the potential to do it. However, the fact that he executed the game plan so well. He played against Man City in the FA Cup earlier on in January. I think it might even be December. It probably was December. But first came back after the World Cup. And he scored the goal in that game, but he got hooked at half-time, and we haven't seen him since. And it's a bit of... I think he can definitely do a job out on the left wing. He's got the footwork, he's got the trickery, but he doesn't have the pace you need to be a Liverpool starting player in the front 3 positions. And I definitely think in the future he's going to be more of a midfield player for us, but he definitely did a wonderful job out on that left before Curtis Jones replaced him. Constantly getting at him. Him and Simicast on the left in the tagging sense were really good. And defensively, I mean, Simicast needed all the help he get with Traore. I mean, he's a handful. I mean, thank God he can't score, otherwise he'd be a world-class player. But constantly doubling up on him and helping him out. And he was definitely the danger man for Wolves, Traore. I think the fact that Wolves were looking for him so much, especially in that first half, and then right at the beginning of the game where the lights go out and you're like, oh God, what's going on here? And then BBC with its sound issues will leave it at that, and a little bit of light entertainment before the match begins. But Traore down that right hand side was just a menace. And in the second half, with Neves so deep, and Traore didn't even have to. He could have his back to the goal, and he could give the defender a yard or two, and not even be attempting to make a run. And then all of a sudden, the ball gets played, and he can turn his acceleration and his touch to get there, and then he'll get there all the time. But the fact is, like I said, thankfully, his final product isn't that good. Otherwise, like I said, he probably would have stayed at Barcelona or something like that. And the whole team do it. I think Milner on the other side, playing a right back. I mean, there's always there's always the speculation about Milner, and I don't think he should be playing right back anymore because of the fact that I don't think he's got the pace to do it anymore, to do it 100%. When he was playing the whole season left back in Klopp's first full season, he had the pace. He was without 31, 32 maybe, I don't even remember how long it's been, but he definitely could have done the job then. But now, most Premier League teams have a fast, pacey winger. Crystal Palace have Zaha, like Fulham have, I don't even know who Fulham have, like Dan James or whoever, but every team in the Premier League has a pacey winger, and I don't think it's somewhere that Milner should be playing anymore. However, I have to give him his credit. In this game, he completely shut down that left-hand side. I think it was Ryan Eldnori who decided he was going to play left wing, and it was a bit surprising. I know he did it in the first leg at Anfield, but he's more of a left wing back / left attacking left back, and I feel like although he can do the job, it almost seems like a bit of a waste to play him there because you're limiting your attacking options a bit, because you could definitely get another winger up there for Wolves, but it's how Lopetegui wanted to play. I'm not complaining. Milner pocketed him. He had more luck when he actually went back into a back four, left back in a back four, and I think his crosses from deep were definitely more dangerous than overlapping the winger then, which at the time was fine for us because we didn't really do anything. Wolves didn't do anything. They didn't threaten us at all. I'm not sure how many saves Kel had to make, maybe 1 or 2. I think nothing of note really, and there were a couple of claims for him and a couple of catches, and nothing was too bad for him. I think Stefan Bajcetic in the midfield was amazing. I think if Elliott hadn't scored the goal, I think he definitely would have been my man of the match. I mean, the composure for an 18-year-old to play CDM for Liverpool is just incredible from him to see. And I definitely think we have to be careful because a bit like the thing I said about Elliott, we need to be careful with Bajcetic and we don't throw him in too far too soon, and then all of a sudden it's one bad game and his confidence is short, people try and work him out, and then the fan base as a whole puts pressure on him to really deliver. But signs are promising for him because the composure, the touch, the vision, the passing, the execution of what he wants to do. I think the only really mistake I could remember was, I think in the first half, he tried to play a crossfield pass to Tsimikas and then he just played it completely along the ground and scuffed it and it went to Traore, but thankfully it didn't lead to anything. But what a performance, and obviously he came off with a bit of cramp at the end and hopefully he's fine, but there's definitely a shout for him to start more games going forward. I think now that we're through Brighton and the FA Cup in the next round, I definitely think that he's got to be starting that game, because even though we have, I think, 9 of our 10 midfielders, and that's right, we have 9 midfielders fit, 10 if you include Bajcetic. You've got Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, Keita, Ox, Milner, Jones, Elliott, Carvalho, Bajcetic, and the other one is injured is Arthur Melo. I definitely think Bajcetic has made a claim to start more games in the midfield. I think I do worry a little bit for Curtis Jones. I think he's got a great potential. I think the system doesn't suit him because he's a left midfield, attacking midfielder who's kind of trying to convert into more midfield player, and he didn't have a great game against Nottingham Forest away from home early on in the season, and now he's more comfortable on the left wing position for us. But if you've got Carvalho there who's already doing quite well, you've got the front 6 players who are all ahead of him, Ben Doe, Harvey Elliott on the right. I do worry for him, especially since he's not starting games like this where I expected him to start. But we're going to try and look in the positives. Another positive, Naby Keita surviving a whole 90 minutes, which I don't know how he's done that. I fully expect him to be injured or not to be seen in training in the coming days before Chelsea. But it was nice to see him fit, nice to see him play, because when you think about it, going into the season, you definitely thought the players who should be starting week in, week out, it should be Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson, and Keita. It should be a rotation. It should be 3 of those 4. And the fact that we've never had that option so far this season, and I'm not going to get my hopes up because I fully expect him, like I said, to be injured, and I don't think he's going to stay fit for very long, and he probably should be off in the summer. But it's just nice to see that the fact that he's fit. Having Oxlade-Chamberlain on the bench as well, like another option, having him fit, he's probably going to maybe play in the front 3 on the weekend, so he's probably maybe not counting midfield options at the moment. But it's good to see for Naby Keita getting 90 minutes and, showing us what we know he can do, unfortunately. And of course you've got Thiago, who's just a maestro in midfield, who runs the game beginning to end. I mean, picks up a yellow, but still makes challenges very cleverly, gets the ball, doesn't get a second booking, and he's just a world-class midfielder. And I wish we had a team where we had two pressing midfield monsters next to him, one on the right, one behind him, so he could go out and he could do what he does best, and he's just gliding through a game, beating up opposition midfield players, breaking through the lines with his passes, and he's just so clever and he can see the passes, and it's glorious to watch. And I've actually been surprised of how, talking about Naby Keita's injury record, how fit Thiago's been this season. I know he had a spell on the sidelines, but so far he's played a lot of football, and a lot more than I was expecting him to play, and most of it out of necessity because of the fact that how vulnerable we are in midfield. I think vulnerable is the right word, because we definitely are. And I think the last player I really want to talk about is Cody Gakpo, because he's going to score his first goal soon, and there definitely might be a hesitation with Liverpool fans to be like, oh, what are we watching? Is this what we paid this money for? We should have got a midfielder. The midfielder talk was already, everyone was talking about it when he signed. We said, okay, it's fine. He's a player for the short term because Diaz and Jota aren't available, and Firmino got injured as well. But long term, he's maybe going to probably be Firmino's replacement. And the fact that he hasn't been scoring puts a bit of pressure on him and Klopp and the team, because of the fact that everyone wants a midfielder. Everyone can see we need a midfielder. I think there were stills on Twitter of Liverpool's midfield against Brighton, and the fact that there was no pressure on the ball in midfield, and that left us so exposed, especially when we play with a high line. But it doesn't work unless there's pressure on the ball, and so I definitely think we need to be patient with him, because I think he's going to be a great player for us going forward in the future. Just need to be, he needs to get his first goal. He reminds me a little bit of Darwin Núñez, and I hope he isn't the second Darwin Núñez, because we can only have one agent of chaos. One agent of chaos is good, it works for a team. Two agent of chaos, and I think you're just a bad team. You rely more on that than you do on actually clinical shooting and scoring goals. But I think it's going to come good for him. I fully expect him to start against Chelsea. I don't know if he's going to start in the middle or out on the left. Maybe Oxlade-Chamberlain will come in and play on the left, or Carvalho after his performance today, or maybe they do a half each or something like that. Hopefully Núñez is fit for that game against Chelsea, because it's a game of two teams who are struggling to score, struggling to do well in the league at this moment in time, who everyone out of the traditional Big Six, everyone expected them to do well this year. So let's see, it's going to be an interesting game, Saturday midday. I'm going to be covering it as well. Hopefully Liverpool get the win, and hopefully we carry on from this, because a win in the FA Cup, Brighton next, a clean sheet, one goal, match fitness in everyone's legs. What really more can you ask for?